5 spirits of dead serial killers that still haunt. They were the most despised while still alive, so when these notorious serial killers died, there was a collective sigh of relief. But are they truly gone for good? You'll be surprised to know that these 5 serial killers continue to scare long after their deaths, for their spirits have lingered and are hauntingly scaring people. Number 5. Harold Shipman. Dr. Harold Shipman was a walking contradiction. He was supposed to save people's lives. Instead, Shipman became Britain's most prolific serial killer with an estimated 218 victims, mostly his patients who were elderly women. Thus, he was called Dr. Death. On January 31st, 2000, the English doctor was sentenced to life in prison for murdering his 15 patients by lethal injections of diamorphine. But on January 13th, 2004, Shipman hanged himself to death in his cell D336 at Wakefield Prison in West Yorkshire, England. And it's in this cell that the killer doctor reportedly continues to manifest his presence, as alleged by a fellow convict, child killer Roy Whiting, who also occupied cell D336. Whiting, who abducted and murdered 8-year-old Sarah Payne in July 2000, was too scared to sleep in the cell because it is haunted by the ghost of Shipman. He complained of the hauntings to the governor, jail wardens, and his psychiatrist, claiming eerie noises and strange occurrences, which began as the 3rd anniversary of Shipman's suicide approached. Well, misery loves company, and perhaps Shipman thought Whiting badly needed it. Number 4. Charles Whitman. On August 1st, 1966, the world was shocked by a shooting rampage in Texas carried out by former US Marine Charles Whitman. After killing his mother and wife, he headed to the University of Texas in Austin, where he began an indiscriminate shooting for some 99 minutes inside the university's bell tower and its 28th floor observation deck. A total of 16 people died, while 31 more were wounded. It culminated with the shooting of Whitman, who became infamous as the Texas Tower Sniper. Autopsy reports showed that he had a brain tumor, which may have caused his strange and deadly behavior. And strange, too, were the reported occurrences at the bell tower after Whitman died, which many people attributed to his troubled spirit. At night, when the offices in the tower were vacant and dark, the lights suddenly switched on by themselves. Several instances of the lights shutting on and off continued. That one tower guard said, "Charlie, let's get along," and the lights turned themselves off. It only takes being nice for Whitman's spirit to behave. Number 3. Herbert Baumeister. In the 1990s, more than a dozen gay men mysteriously disappeared in the Indianapolis area, and police investigation eventually led to the prime suspect, businessman Herbert Baumeister. He was suspected of picking up and driving his victims to his 18-acre estate called Fox Hollow Farm, then allegedly killed and buried them there. Authorities dug up the remains of 11 men, so Baumeister was up for getting arrested, but he fled to Ontario, Canada, where he committed suicide. Later, his abandoned property was sold at an incredibly cheap price to Rob and Vicky Graves, who rented out an apartment within the property to Joel LeBlanc. Then, strange happenings witnessed by both Vicky and Joe started. In many instances, Joe experienced incessant knocking on his apartment's door, but no one would be there.
I didn't tell you, but that's the second time I've seen it.
One night, he heard a metal scraping noise, so he asked if anyone was there while recording the incident using his cell phone. When he played the recording on his computer, he got a clear response: the married one. While his victims were single gay men, Baumeister was actually married, and don't forget, he once owned the property. Number 2. Ted Bundy. The electric chair at the Florida State Prison truly did a heroic job of bringing justice to the 30 victims serial killer and necrophile Ted Bundy confessed to kidnapping, raping, and murdering. His criminal acts spanned from 1974 to 1978 across 7 states in America. For most people, Bundy, who described himself as the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you'll ever meet, indeed deserved his death by electrocution on January 24, 1989. But he isn't missed because there has been no shortage of Bundy's ghost sightings at the Florida State Prison, where he spent his final days, particularly on the electric chair that ended his life. In 2001, a prison guard claimed that he and several others had seen Bundy's ghost sitting casually on the electric chair, smiling knowingly, as if he now knew something about the afterlife that they didn't. If a guard tried to approach him, he'd disappear. However, he allegedly said, "Well, I beat all of you, didn't I?" to some guards. More recently, in May 2013, prison inmates also reported sightings of the serial killer's ghost roaming in the prison cells. Number 1. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy was known in Cook County, Illinois for his sociability and performance as Pogo the Clown at charitable events and children's parties. But he was later called the Killer Clown after he was unmasked as a serial killer who raped, tortured, and murdered at least 33 young men between 1972 and 1978. Gacy committed his crimes inside his Norwood Park Ranch house, where 26 of his victims were buried in the crawl space of his home, while 3 others elsewhere on his property.
We have attorneys on standby that will be available to the very end to fight any attempts to stay this execution.
Consequently, he was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994, but his spirit remained, while his house, which was later demolished, became the lair of the ghostly presence of his victims. Gacy reportedly haunts the room at the Stateville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois, where he met his death sentence. Guards reported hearing Gacy's unearthly voice down the halls and by the death chamber. He'd laugh in their ears. Gacy loved to taunt authorities while on death row, and during his execution, his last words were, "Kiss my ass." If you find this video infotaining, please subscribe to our channel and make us part of your daily habit.